New year, new us. Thank you for joining on in. It's time to talk about the recommendations for the start of 2025. Hey everyone, I hope you're well, playing and making games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, lead level designer, Max Perez. I hope the audio sounds alright. I've got some new headphones, so I don't know if it's the audio has changed on my mic or if it's just the headphones themselves. But thank you again for joining me on this one. It's an absolute pleasure to have all of you here with me, and I really appreciate your time with this. I hope that you had a great holiday season, regardless whatever you celebrate, and really just appreciate that you got to spend time with your loved ones as I did with mine. So hopefully it was relaxing and you got some time to decompress, take in the year, and move forward with that. So yeah, welcome to the first one. For those of you who may be new to the channel, this is really the kind of episode at the start of every month. We kind of look at different kind of recommendations, other incredible devs' works that we can all learn from, because after all, I do not know everything, so being able to constantly learn and being able to go out there and improve as a dev is important to each and every one of us. So I'm hoping to share more incredible resources and elements that you can take from and learn from as well. I always really notice my neck is really like leaning to one side for in these videos, so I'm trying to shape this up so it doesn't lean all the time. If you are watching, if you're listening, then just know that I sit up perfectly straight regardless of whatever position I'm telling you I'm in. Weird phrasing on that one. Without further ado, we're going to get on to the very first recommendation and kind of go from there. Instead of a traditional sponsor, what I'm offering now is that of joining the mailing list. Social media is constantly changing all the time, as we're seeing some people are leaving Twitter, others are choosing to remain, Blue Sky, Threads, all of this. So it's really hard to reach out to all of you incredible aspiring and current game devs. So what I'm offering here is that of a emailing list. So if you want to be kept up to date with all of the great level design news, as well as get your free guide, which is my 10 tips towards better level design, then please join the mailing list. You'll be making sure to get 3 emails a week with me sharing that of different resources, ideas, as well as what I've learned through my career and some Q&As. So if you're constantly looking to improve level design and instead trying to figure out where all this information may be, then look no further than the mailing list. Check down in the description below to join now and get that of your 10 tips to improve your level design. So my first recommendation actually comes from an indie game dev called that of Raymond Cripps, who is working on a project called Project Feline. Now, I don't know much about the project, but I thought this video in particular was very interesting to see for a couple of reasons. But it's a pretty long one, it's about 35 minutes in total. But he's documenting his development of his game Project Feline, where he talks about now from going as a solo dev to working towards that of what we'd say something like a small team, where he's contracting someone to help him increase the speed and production time of his work as well. And he talks about facing some issues with not only development but also transitioning from working just as a solo person to now having to manage someone, as well as talking about the side that people don't necessarily see or kind of, I guess, understand what it's important of. Now he refers to it as technical debt, as well as that of, we talk about naming conventions, comments in your script or code, making it clear what things are, and understanding optimization as well. Now these are things that are not necessarily spoken about. A couple of reasons is it's definitely not the sexy part of game development. I think we can all agree on that. And the other aspect that I think he phrased so well was the element towards that of how YouTube rewards, or should I say the algorithm plugs a lot more more people making something quickly. Like, you've probably seen it on YouTube as well. Some developers who's like, I've recreated God of War in a week, or made this in 24 hours. When really they haven't. They've made a prototype, which is still really impressive. But we don't see how it was actually made in terms of how the systems were in place. Would that system actually translate further across an actual huge game? Or does it only work in this specific area that they have built to show off, right? And I think he raises some good elements of why it's important, regardless if you're a solo dev, working in a team, whatever you may have, that you should constantly learn and improve to make sure that you're setting things up correctly. Because the more that we spend time using correct setups, the better it is for not only that of optimization, but also clearer to work together as a team, right? I think I told a story a while back where I was working at a company and I would leave comments on my script just because I think in case I go away, it's clear what it is my intention is, as well as elements of it being something for me for when I come back to this level, reminding myself, what am I doing here again? And I went away, and one of the other designers that's working on the space as well would constantly delete my comments. Now, first time I thought, nothing of it, it's just a mistake. Second time I was like, right, well, what's going on here? And I basically had to say, well, why are you deleting the comments? And he said, I don't need them. And it was a really awkward situation simply because he was more experienced than me. But I think the element of like, well, it's not about necessarily you needing them, it's for me and for the reality of, as it did happen, that I went away on holiday, but deadlines still need to be met. Another LD would come take over the level and needed to understand, well, where is he activating certain parts of the level? How is he doing it? Is it correct? And I think it's really important. I think many of you have seen as well, I've shared color coding on comments and how that's helpful for it as well. So I think, yeah, there's some really, really important things for it. The other thing that he's talked about is some elements and some strife came across working with another dev, even though he thought he had laid out the rules clearly, elements like that, but it didn't necessarily, spoilers I guess, work fully. Now, I don't agree with his outcome, which for him, he's like, I'll just be the best solo dev. And I think that's not necessarily a healthy output. I think the element is, and as you heard there at the start, I'm now a lead designer, I'm no longer a principal, I'm involved in management, I'm lead level designer at People Can Fly. We'll talk about leadership in a further episode in the year. But it is something where you can think you've made it as clear as possible, but others don't necessarily follow it, or may not understand why you've really insisted on following these elements for it. So my thing is more, it's people are different, and that's okay, but it's on you. Now, it's on him because he's the head of the project. He's the head designer of his own game, obviously. That it's clear in the communication. So I think, again, I don't agree with his outtakes, but there are some fascinating ones to see from it. So go check that out. I think it was a really interesting one. Again, I'm more AAA, as we know, and to see all of these incredible indie devs make something and find challenges in communicating, even, his team has expanded by 100% from going to 1 to 2 devs. There's still, even just as small as 2 devs can cause huge issues with communication for it. So that is resource 1. That of resource number 2 now. Remember, in case you don't know, all the resources are down in the description below, so please go do check them out after this video. The next one is going to be that one of why we remember the fight between Achilles and Hector. Now, this one comes from the film of Troy, but as many of you know, I'm a huge fight fan in general, whether that be boxing, mixed martial arts. And I think showing fights in that of film, especially where we're not involved, if you think about the element of games we're used to fighting, whether that be guns, melee, whatever have it, fight games like Tekken, for example, it's how do we show that? How do we show not only the horrors of the combat, but also the beauty of it? Like, some of these moves that some martial artists can pull off is insane and looks great. I mean, you get hit by some of them, you don't care how good it looks, it is horrifying. But what they're talking about in this setup here is, how does it show the characters? How does it reflect their personalities, their struggles within this moment for it? And there was at one point this huge fad, especially in about 2010s, with the Bourne identity, the overall Bourne franchise with the shaky cam. And I get what they're trying to do by making it feel intense, like you're in it. But I always thought it looked rubbish and just annoying because you're not seeing it. Again, I don't think Matt Damon and other actors can potentially fight. That's not an insult. We're trying to sell that. That's why they're actors. But I think there's better ways to show this choreography for it. So I think, again, there is a great way with it. So to me, this breakdown for it and to see it from a different medium's perspective is always fascinating for that. And each character reflecting different aspects with it. Now, some of you may not even remember Troy. I don't think it was particularly hugely successful for it. It was alright. I definitely don't think it's one of my favourite films, but there's still a lot in there. But I just thought the thought and timing into this breakdown and this fight was really important to understand, again, from a different medium, a different perspective from how we work with this. And yeah, I just thought it was a really fascinating one to see, so I really hope that you enjoy that one as well. Now, resource number 3 has to be, my friends, a shameless plug, where I have to talk about that, of the new level design kit that I was working on and now released in December of 2024, where I've finally worked with an artist called Caro, where I've set what I believe to be the perfect LD kit to help you improve your blockouts in creating something much more in terms of that on the more professional standards, where metrics are much more commonly found in that of your traditional third person to first person action game. Not only this, but I have included that of tools and that of different blueprints for you to instantly drag in, drop all of those right off the bat, so it can give you some interactability straight away, bringing that kind of demo straight away to life, as well as other tools that I've found useful and seen in my career out there for you. So although it is a bit of a shameless plug, I do apologize. It is still something that I really believe in. I spent over a month with Caro making this. Since the release, there's been 3 updates for it already, so just to show you that I am still really a huge fan of this in terms of what it is, how to keep adding to it, any additions to make it just better for all of you to actually go off and use with this. So please do go check it out. I think it's important to help and give back to the level design communities. You know, I love what I do. I love these elements for it. So being able to actually share something with all of you where you can all use this and it can help to improve your level design, and you not have to worry about where do I get started. Well, great news, you can start now with it. Level design kit, it's on the Fab store. It is only for Unreal at this time, but hopefully it can be something that, again, just helps and improves your work moving forward. Next, we have that of the interview for that with Rebecca Ford over with the Academy of Interactive Arts and Science, or as you may know this podcast already, the Game Maker's Notebook, in which Rebecca Ford is that, I believe she was community manager, but now has become creative director, over on Warframe for it. And for many of you, Warframe has been a game that when Destiny kind of came out and there were some people that weren't interested as much, Warframe really took over in terms of, because of the free-to-play aspect of it, and also it's been going on for over a decade and really has come into its own in this genre of, I guess, looter shooters is what we'd call it. But it, again, 10 years, and I think it's fascinating to hear her career from it, because it said she was a community manager, if I remember correctly, and that's what's made her quite a valuable asset to the team as that of a creative director, because of the fact that she knows and really listens and had the direct contact with that of the fans being able to hear what they want right off the bat, what it is they're after, improvements, feedback, as well as elements they may miss from it. And I think it's, again, just a good one to show how no matter where your career is or roots in, that you can still transfer across to that of different aspects in games as well. So to me, the fact that we have a different way in by seeing this, by hearing about Rebecca's journey, is very important to us all to understand these different aspects with it. So I really hope that you have some time to listen to this one. It is a long one, about an hour 30, but most Game Maker notebooks are roughly around that mark. And again, I don't know much about Warframe. I played it back in, I think, 2014 and 2015, but to see how much it has grown and still see it still have such a stable footing is only testament to the team that works on that one as well. So a very different one, and I really enjoyed looking into that one. So I hope you enjoy it and check it out for it there. Now, the last one comes from that of Rafael. I'm going to definitely butcher your name here, Rafael, sorry. Rafael Obrebeski. Definitely fucked that. Obrebeski. Rafael works at CD Projekt Red. I think we worked together briefly, but I could be wrong for it. But I believe we did. Again, just shows you how big AAA studios can get. But during this winter period, I've been absolutely terrifying myself by seeing how impressive AI has become in the game making space, right? It is changing, developing, and I have been using AI to speed up certain things in my day-to-day work life. One of the companies I worked at, Nine Lives Interactive, I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically like a note-taking one that would take notes during online meetings and then send it out to everyone, which is great. So you could instantly use that, save that. The other elements we had from it as well is that of I've seen obviously people use Midjourney, but there's so much more out there now, and how fast it's come about. I remember the first AI stuff that would make music and sound effects, and it was rubbish. In Raphael's video, you'll see that it's come a real long way for it. The fact that you can take your Midjourney images, throw it into other AI, it creates a 3D model for you. Absolutely insane. So it's fascinating to see, and I think we are seeing, there's been a lot of layoffs, sadly, for it. I think that this is the boogeyman that no one is talking about enough. We hear stuff like from EA's heads that they're wanting to incorporate more and more AI into that of their workflow, and seeing where it's all going, it is quite scary in many ways for it. But I thought it was interesting to share, just so we can all see it, we can all have our opinions on it. I don't think it's there right now taking jobs away from it. It's great for prototyping. I think it's really great for that. But again, how far is that going to go? How many people have been affected by it? We don't know, because there's been so many other issues that have caused layoffs as well. So I'm very fascinated to see, but I wanted to share this with you because it is definitely a different space in terms of, how do I say, a different space in terms of that with it's ever changing. We don't know what a year to 2 years can really bring for it, and the fact that we're seeing more and more changes rapidly through it is just mind-blowing for that. So I really hope that you take a chance, be necessarily open-minded just in terms of what it can change, hopefully for the better for us. I don't know what the better means for us as developers yet, but I think it's worth having more of an open conversation versus ignoring it, shall we say, with that. For that. So yeah, that is my 5 recommendations. So we have to go through and list them again for all of you lovely listeners. We have Just Hire More Devs, Project Feline Devlog, which is on YouTube. Again, all of these will be in descriptions down below. We then have Why Remember the Achilles versus Hector fight from the film Troy. The third one being my level design kit, now available on Fab for Unreal 5. We then have the 10 years of Warframe interviewing the creative director Rebecca Ford on Game Maker's Note Kit, as well as that of how Raphael made a game using AI for it. Again, I think everyone used the word game way too liberally. He made a space with it. It's still impressive, but it's not a game. I feel so cynical saying that, but I think it also should be stated that, right? Like, I made a game is very clickbaity, and I'm just trying to be more realistic with it, but not take away any of people's hard work. I say hard work, it was AI generated, let's again be real. But again, I hope that this has been some interesting topics for you, some great resources to learn from as well, and a big start to 2025. Thank you all very, very much. Take care of yourself. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.